in Houston, Texas, and we appreciate it. And we thank and greet all those who are viewing by streaming as well. We appreciate your attention to this very important conversation because it involves our children. We assemble today on behalf of the 213,000 plus children who are in HISD classrooms even as we speak. We are faith leaders and civic leaders who are entrusted with working together for our community, especially on behalf of these students. Their cause is our cause, and our voices are their voices. We believe that we are speaking on behalf of and in the interest of every child, every student who's a part of the Houston Independent School District. To that end, we want today to express our agreement with the decision that's been made by the state conservator instructing HISD board members to cease and desist from the search and selection process for a permanent superintendent. We do believe as well that the state of the board at present is not fitting for such an important and grave decision and process. We believe further that this becomes an opportunity for the present board and the present administration to work together to create a conciliatory environment in which decisions can be made that continue to result in the improvement of classroom performances and school performances throughout the entire district. As we're all well aware, over the past year, Dr. Greenita Latham, the interim superintendent, has worked hard with principals and teachers and parents to implement programs and strategies that have caused positive outcomes for many of our schools. Many of them having been brought off of the IR list during her brief interim tenure. We support that, and we do believe that all board members should support that as well. Right. It's unfortunate, in our opinions, that the present environment has become what it has been, but we do hope that all board members and officials would work with the present administration on the #1 agenda, and that is doing what is best for children. We believe that this conversation has unfortunately become lost amidst a lot of other things that are obviously not what the school district is ultimately all about. This district is about educating children. I am an HISD product. I played football on the field right behind us. I set records there.
Wow.
By the way, I'm an HISD product. Many of us standing here have children who are HISD products. Pastor James Nash just shared with us he has 23 or 26 children and grandchildren who are HISD products. Many of them are still in HISD today. We're here today because as pastors and community leaders, we want to see HISD at its best for all children. And that cannot happen unless there's unity and there's harmony. So we're asking that the district leaders would do that. And we're willing to work with them to help facilitate that kind of conciliatory conversation. Because now it needs to all be about those children and their ultimate and maximum potential as students of HISD. I'm pleased today to have standing to my right Dr. Carolyn Everett-Shabazz. She chairs the Education Committee for the Houston NAACP, as well as Pastor James Nash, a prominent pastor in our community. Next to him is Pastor Trevi Washington, who pastors in the 5th Ward community. To my left, Dr. Grant Malone, pastor of the St. John Baptist Church, and more broad spread, the president and moderator of a major association of pastors here, as well as Pastor E.A. Deckard, a community leader and pastor, and then, of course, Cesar Espinosa, who works with Fiel and other organizations bringing about social change and justice for all people in our community. At this time, I'm going to ask that Dr. Shabazz would give us a brief word in concert with what we're speaking, and then we will move forward. Dr. Shabazz.
Thank you, Bishop, and certainly thank you, members of the press who are here to engage us. And I really want to say that I am proud to stand here as Education Chair of the Houston branch of the NAACP, which, of course, in that role, we are certainly concerned about process and equity. What's going on, of course, no one really likes for a governmental body to come in to a democratic process such as what is established at the Houston Independent School District. But of course, the body that has come in is charged with making sure that the process is done appropriately and equitably. And so therefore, we are in agreement with this stop of the, or temporary stop rather, of the search for the superintendent. Certainly we concur with all of the things that Bishop Dixon shared regarding the wonderful track record that Dr. Grenita Lathan has established. But we certainly want to make sure that the process and the procedure are followed equitably. And so I stand as chair of the Education Committee of the NAACP Houston branch, and making it clear, I am not standing here with my other hat on. I'm standing here for the people that comprise the minorities in the community, and that's on behalf of the NAACP. And I thank you so very much for this opportunity, as well as this engagement of all of these prominent ministers and civic leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shabazz. We also want to make mention that Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee and Congressman Al Green both lend their support to our statements today. They are obviously in Washington, D.C., taking care of federal business in our government. We're pleased also to have with us today Dr. Grant Malone. We would ask him to have a comment as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Bishop Dixon, and thank you, members of the press, for being with us today. It's often been said that we must make the main thing the main thing. And as a former educator, I think it's important that we always remember that the children are our future. And when our children are successful, we all are successful. When our children are successful, our communities are successful. And so what our conservative has done is step in and speak success to our community. We wish for this to continue. We wish for Dr. Lathan to continue in the progress that she has started, and for our children to be at the top of the mountain. It has been said, African proverb, when they would speak in Africa, they wouldn't say hello. They would say, how are your children?
Yes.
And so the question is, how are our children in our community? That's the question, and today they're better off than they were. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malone. I'm going to ask that Cesar Espinosa would do what I was going to do. I was going to go ahead and give you a narrative in Spanish, but since he's a little bit more articulate and adept at that than I am, I'm going to ask that he would give us some commentary regarding our statement in Spanish. Cesar?
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Bishop Dixon. Thank you, members of the press. I'm going to make a brief comment in English, then I'll make a Spanglish comment. We stand here because we believe, and I stand here because I believe that it is time that our communities continue and begin to work with each other to reconcile some of our differences. At the end of the day, we have more in common than we have in common than we have differences, and it's time that we have deep conversations about how together, as the majority of the people living in Houston, can move forward. So, mi nombre es César Espinosa y soy director de Fiel. Estamos aquí para apoyar a nuestras comunidades, para tener esas conversaciones que son muy difíciles, pero que nos van a llevar en el futuro a trabajar juntos, ya no como minorías, pero como la mayoría de las personas que viven en la ciudad de Houston. Es importante que nos enfoquemos en nuestras similitudes, en nuestras comunidades, en vez de nuestras diferencias. So, por lo mismo estamos aquí en apoyo para pedirle a la mesa directiva, a la junta directiva de HISD, que trabajen juntos y que reconcilien sus diferencias para que juntos podamos tener el mejor interés de nuestros estudiantes en mente y juntos podamos hacer el cambio que necesitamos para el mejor futuro de ellos. Estamos aquí, estamos en apoyo con nuestras comunidades y estamos aquí para pedir que haya un momento de reconciliación, que haya un momento de reflexión para que juntos podamos arreglar tantos problemas que existen dentro de HISD, pero que juntos podamos al final del día tener la mejor resolución para nuestros estudiantes y nuestras familias.
Amen. Thank you, Cesar, for those eloquent remarks. I'm going to ask Pastor E.A. Deckard to give us a comment as well, coming from the north side of Houston. Pastor?
Yes, sir. Once again, thank you, Bishop Dixon, and thank you, media. Decisions determine destiny. Today's decisions will determine the destiny of hundreds of thousands of children. We must pause and make deliberate decisions to make sure that destiny is secure and sound. We're grateful for a timeout. In sports, a timeout gives you a chance to adjust and readjust. We pray during this time of readjustment, we understand decisions determine destiny, and let's make decisions that will give our children the greatest destiny possible.
Thank you so much, Pastor Deckard. I'm going to ask that Dr. James Nash would come. He's a grandfather, a great-grandfather, and a pastor in this community who's doing an amazing job as well. Dr. Nash.
Thank you, Bishop. Let me say this. I shouldn't give Bishop Dixon a lot of credit for bringing us together. Let me say this. There are not many guarantees in this life, but there are so many opportunities. On our way to success sometimes, we often pass a lot of failures. We don't want to fail in this. I'm for Dr. Layton. That's all I need to say. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Dr. Nash. Pastor Trevor Washington from the Fifth Ward community.
Thank you, Bishop Dixon. Thank you, news media. My wife and I have a saying in our home that failure is not an option. As far as our marriage, divorce is not an option. And so with these kids, HISD children, it's the same thing. We believe that failure is not an option. And as eloquent Pastor Deckard said, the timeout we hope will be taken to reevaluate what's going on so that there can be a fair and equitable process to ensure that we do not fail our children. And that's my piece on where we're going to. Again, thank you for your presence.
We want to recognize the presence of Pastor Tilian Preston from the Independence Heights community as well. And I really want to conclude our remarks with a thank you to everyone who has worked together thus far, to commend parents for staying vigilantly involved in their children's educational experiences. We represent hundreds of pastors here today. Dr. Samuel Gilbert of the Houston Metropolitan Ministers Conference is traveling, could not be here. Some 250 churches. We know that Dr. Max Miller is also support, and our Northeast Ministers Conference and the Church of the God in Christ are all in favor of our stance and our statements here on today. And so we want to say that we are here because we care, and we're committed to action. We want to work to help build a conciliatory environment and to foster that level of conversation, because we believe the hard work of moving differences aside must take place by adults so that children will have their best opportunities. It is a saying of mine that education is the weapon every child deserves to fight for his or her own future. And if we fail to instill a great education into the lives and minds of our children, we set them up for an unfair fight. This world demands that our children be the best prepared as possible, and we do believe that that's what all of our interests should be. Not selfish, not political, not personal, not economic. What's best for those 200,000 plus children who go to school every day expecting that this experience will set them up to succeed. Thank you so very much for your attention. I do want to mention that on tonight, previously planned event will still take place. We have a community forum and Power Talk forum with Dr. Lathan tonight, who will be sharing her inspired vision and inspiring vision for every school in this district in giving a report to parents and the community on the progress that has been made and things that all of us can do working together to make sure that that progress continues. Having said that, I'll pause. Are there any questions from any of the ladies and gentlemen of the press? Well, I believe that the process, we believe, I should say, that the process has been faulty, much because there's not been the kind of unified collaboration amongst leaders. It's very important that we understand that we're in the house together. And when those who are in the house together are at odds, it's not really possible to have a fair and equitable process. We've got to rebuild trust, and that's going to take much conversation. And we believe it's possible. It's daunting, but it's necessary.
Would you still be supportive of this order if you were of the belief that Dr. Latham was a candidate and she was the favorite to be named as one finalist?
We believe that the decision made by the state conservator was made based on the dynamics that exist at present. And I hate to speculate about hypothetical realities. It wasn't our decision, but we do support the decision based on the given realities that exist at present.
Dr. Dixon, do you feel as though this back and forth and one board member who remains called it drama, do you feel as though the kids have just gotten lost, the focus has gotten lost between this drama?
The unfortunate reality is I think that the kids have been lost in the conversation, and it's been drastically minimized. And that's why we support the progress beyond personality. I think that when we look at, again, the progress that is made, and what people tend to hear is, do you support Dr. Latham or not? The question is, do we support the progress that is being made? I'm from a sports background. Whoever makes a touchdown, the whole team shouts and cheers. And for us, we believe that whoever's carrying the ball in a winning way for children deserves all of our support. And if we're on the same team together, wearing the same color jersey, then we ought to have the same victories and the same defeats. So that's how we really view this. Yes.
Bueno, sí apoyan que se haya suspendido la búsqueda de un nuevo superintendente, pero más con el propósito en mente de que la mesa directiva trabaje junto para que haya una búsqueda segura y una búsqueda que tenga buenos resultados al final del día. Lo que estamos aquí es para, de nuevo, reconciliar, pedirle a la mesa directiva que trabaje juntos para que haya más transparencia y al final del día haya la mejor decisión para los estudiantes y las familias de HISD.
Dr. Shabazz.
I just wanted to make a follow-up regarding the board having the best interests of the children involved. I by no means want to portray that this is the only body that does not show that they have the best interests of the children involved. We are currently in a legislative session, which is going to be very imperative that funding and those matters be addressed. And so I'm one that believes that we can speak of the children, but sometimes it's just lip service. And so only what is produced from the legislative bodies can be clear indications of whether we actually have the best interests of the children involved. And so I certainly wanted to put that in because this is a concerted effort from the top to the bottom if we are actually concerned about our children. Thank you.
Well stated. Well stated. We also have joining us the President CEO of the Houston Area Urban League, an advocate for children for many, many years, Judson Robinson III. Judson?
Thank you, Pastor. on behalf of organizations like the Urban League, NAACP, and others assembled, you know, we think it's really important that a good process take place. We've been having challenges in our community with process. The TA has stepped in and decided that at this time, the best thing to do right now is to allow this process, which they've recommended, to move forward, that there is a time of flux right now, and that we need to take the time to handle each of these situations in an appropriate fashion. It is not time to move forward in steps of bringing on a new superintendent. It is time to handle the situations that we have at hand currently, take the time to do those things properly. The Urban League stands behind that type of thought process. In due time, when it's time, that'll be the time to take the appropriate actions necessary. But for the current time that we're discussing right now, we stand behind what the current recommendation is by the state of Texas. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Justin. I think it should be also stated that as we're giving encouragement to the entire board and the administration to work towards a unified effort to continue educating our children at the best levels possible, we need to also say that all of us have been supporters of many of the board members and of this board and of this district beyond our own neighborhoods. We vote, and we have voted for persons across the board and across the community, and so we wanted to come to the table with those people we believed in and have shown our support for, to say let's do the hard adult work in a conciliatory way so that our children, every child of every community, of every background, will have the best opportunity for their academic and future success. To that end, thank you very much for covering the press conference. Thank you. The Community Empowerment Forum tonight with Dr. Latham, featuring her, is at 7 o'clock p.m., 6:45 p.m. at the Community of Faith Church. The address is 1024 Pinemont, 1024 Pinemont, and the media will be allowed. Okay. A follow-up advisor will go out to that end. The Community of Faith, 1024 Pinemont Drive, Houston, Texas. Let me thank everyone for coming, for contributing to our press conference today. And thank you again, ladies and gentlemen of the press. And thank you to our public for viewing by streaming. And we would love to have your support behind a greater HISD. Thank you.